Good morning, my dear friends. I am legit waking up and I have a candle from Bath and Body Works for you. Candle in question is this one, which I believe is a brand new one, called Oceanside Lavender. The color blue here on this candle is a little on the shocking side, but it's kind of welcome too if you like color. What is nice about this wraparound is that it's kind of flecked as if it's like stucco, and everything in this collection has a very like Mediterranean Sea kind of vibe to it. So yeah, I like it. I think it works, and it's got this lovely rattan like lid on it. So yeah, the aesthetic was actually really nice. Like I said, I think it's new. On the other hand, it's all like elements very much in Bath and Body Works' wheelhouse and kind of an amalgam of a whole range of candles that we've gotten from Bath and Body Works over the years. So conceptually, it's nothing new or innovative. The notes on this one are wild lavender, sweet sandalwood, and calming waves. So lavender, sandalwood with something aquatic. And yeah, I would say that that's the case. The lavender it is bigger than all the other elements. So the sandalwood is just kind of there to kind of like, I think round out the lavender a little bit, but I'm not getting a dominant sandalwood note here. Mostly it's lavender. And yes, there is something kind of briny. I would say briny. This is Calming Waves in Oceanside. It's sea saltish. Yes, it's aquatic, but I would say primarily kind of a lavender salt, a salted lavender kind of vibe. I'm not impressed with this candle, and I would never repurchase it. I mean, I'll just say that right off. That said, it's pleasant enough. And like I said, very similar to many of the other lavender candles that we've gotten from Bath and Body Works over the years or even over the last few months. In that sense, it's kind of generic. It doesn't stand out as something new or exciting. But I would say that if you are a lavender person and you're craving a lavender here in the summer, I don't know if there are that many other lavender candles on the floor right now, with the exception of, I think Gwen's Note has lavender in it, right? Lavender, I think. Yeah, I think it has lavender and sage. I mean, Gwen's Note is head and shoulders better than this, for sure. But it doesn't have the dominant lavender note that this one does. Gwen's Note is much more of a full-bodied conceptual. I don't know how many other just straight up lavender candles are on the floor. I know that they have lavender and vanilla, I think in the single wick right now on the floor. I highly recommend lavender and vanilla. It's a basic candle, but it is perfection in its simplicity. I've said this before, I really think lavender and vanilla should be in the core collection, and it should be like year round. Like it's just that fantastic of a basic and fundamental candle. This one does have like this salty aquatic nuance. I think that the nuance is a very small part of the candle, especially when it's burned. But again, if you're a lavender person, you really like the lavenders year round, then this is a really good one that at least is on the floor right now. It is kind of like an aromatherapy lavender though. This is not the lavender that is in lavender and vanilla. It's not the lavender that's in pink lavender and espresso, which I think is their best. Both of those lavenders are very similar, and I think it's their like best and most brilliant lavender note. Although it's much more on the sweet side, I think. This one leans a little bit more aromatherapy. So I would say that really you should only go for this candle if you are a true lavender fan. I burned this all the way down to the wick clips. There was some sooting. I would say moderate sooting. It didn't burn particularly well. It was an inconsistent burn. So there were times where it burned absolutely great. There were times in the middle where it dropped down to puny wicks about in the midpoint. And I thought, okay, we're done. But then randomly it like pushed through and burned fine the rest of the time. So, but it was just kind of like that the entire time. Like it was just very inconsistent. And after the puny wicks, the puny wicks did clear, but the murkiness did not. So it was pretty murky all the way down, but it did burn fine past that point. The strength and throw was very variable as well. There were a few burns where I tried it out here in the open concept. It did not do particularly well. So this is not a strong candle. It stayed in the back bedroom for pretty much its entire time. So it was not so weak that I necessarily had to bring it up into the guest bathroom, but there were a few burns that were weak enough for a guest bathroom. So really this kind of was like in the back bedroom, there were burns that I could get it up to like a 6.5 or a 7. I don't know if it got up a whole lot more than that. But then there were burns that were more like even back there, like a 4, you know? And it just depended. Like it just went in and out, in and out. And in that sense, I didn't like it. From serious, just from that standpoint. And then on top of it, I wasn't really in love with the fragrance. I just thought it was kind of boring. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. I really would only recommend it to somebody who really wants a lavender candle and who wants a lavender candle in the summer and wants it now. I.e., there's nothing else on the floor right now that's going to give you that kind of a lavender, at least for this season. I brought along 3 other lavender-ish candles that seem like they're in that genre. And these are examples of candles I would buy over this one if they were currently on the floor. Does that make sense? So it's not really unique in its genre. The only reason I would recommend it is because I think on the floor right now it's the only one. But if any one of these others were there, I would recommend them. So this one actually, well, no, let's start out with this one because I think it's the closest to this probably. This is Lavender Sea. And I don't remember when the last time it was that we saw Lavender Sea, but I know that it's been out a few times. This is a very old one that I bought off Marketplace. Like this is from Canada, so it's got like the international thing. And it looks like it was a 2018 candle. So it's a little bit. Lavender Sea, oh my gosh, it doesn't even have any notes. Okay. This one doesn't, it has all the languages, but no notes. So the thing about this one, and this is an older candle, so is that it is a beautiful lavender, but I would say that it's more conceptual. It's not quite as punchy aromatherapy stripped down like this Oceanside Lavender is, but it also has a softer and more like rounded out kind of feel to it. To be honest, I think almost all of the elements of Oceanside Lavender are here. It's just that this one is much more, it seems to be more thin and more punchy, if that makes sense. So it's just kind of like punch, lavender, punch, salt, you know? And for those of you who do prefer a more stripped down fragrance, you know what I mean? And just really especially want to smell that aromatherapy lavender, you might prefer this over this. But this definitely has, this Lavender Sea has it's just more beautiful, for lack of a better term. It's more beautiful, and it kind of blends the lavender in with what is probably a great deal of vanilla, sandalwood, and briny aquaticness. Everything's kind of firing together, and it's much more of a conceptual This one isn't a conceptual so much as three isolated elements that are just kind of coming at you, one of which disproportionately loud, which is the vanilla, which is the lavender. This one isn't like, it's a little bit more removed, but it's kind of in the same genre. This is Driftwood Waves, which we saw, I think, last year. It had a really fancy glass lid, but someone at, yeah, because it's $32.95, but somebody broke the glass lid at my Bath and Body Works, and I was exchanging a candle and they let me exchange it for like a $26.95 price point because it didn't have the fancy lid on it. I've burned this like once. This is lavender and sandalwood. Well, let's see what the notes say on it. Sandalwood, bergamot, and ocean air. But I think it has lavender in it too. For me, this candle, it's another conceptual, and it's less sea-like, and it's more, it's got this really weird like powder vibe to it. It's very powdery, and I don't know where the powder is coming from. It says bergamot, but I'm not getting like an overt like cologne or perfume vibe from it. Although it does lean a little bit more like body care-ish than like Oceanside Lavender does, for instance. Yeah, it's so weird. It's like very baby powder-like, and I'm not really sure why it's giving off that vibe. That said, I don't know that I like it very much, but I still think that it's more interesting and possibly more palatable than the Oceanside Lavender for what it's worth. Although I wasn't impressed with the strength or throw the one time that I burned it, and I don't think that it necessarily had great strength and throw from all reports. Last but certainly not least, folks, this is the one that I would buy right here. And it's not on the floor right now. It was on the floor for such a long time last summer. They came out with this kind of late in the summer, and it got lost in the cracks a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. And then they didn't really clearance it off, so it just kind of like hung on the floor into the fall and just looked really sad because nobody was buying it at that point. They were buying all the fall stuff. And I recommended it as much as I possibly could. But yeah, it was a tough sell, and it was such a beautiful package too. Look at that. And then with the copper, it's kind of like a copper ombre. Oh, it's so beautiful. I loved it, loved it. Blue Lavender Breeze. This is wild lavender, creamy sandalwood, and splash of coconut milk. So it substitutes the aquatic briny thing with coconut. Otherwise, it's a lavender sandalwood. Oh man, that's good. Now this does have bergamot in it. A pretty obvious amount of bergamot. So it does kind of have a little bit of a like perfume, like conceptual quality to it. But it's got lavender. Lavender is really the kind of dominant note, and the coconut is kind of supporting cast. It's not that you can't smell the coconut, it's just that it like really kind of blends into the lavender and supports the lavender, which is why I brought it here, because it is really primarily a lavender candle. Oh man, that's good. Man, that's good. I had several backups of these. It's fantastic. What can I say? I guess with the coconut and the sandalwood and the lavender, like I was thinking, if you want like an Oceanside lavender, if you want a summer lavender, I would definitely buy this over the Oceanside lavender. But like I said, if you are kind of a strict aroma, kind of an austere, stripped down, strict aromatherapy lavender, this is definitely the strictest one of all of these. And if you really want a summer aquatic lavender right now, then I think it's the only thing on the floor, and it's in a beautiful package. So there's that. Like I said, was not in love with the way that it burned. I thought it was very inconsistent in terms of strength, throw, burn quality, and all the rest. So I don't know that I can recommend it on that level, but if this is what you're looking for in terms of the fragrance, then I think that you can't do better than this right now for the floor set that we've got. So that's what I've got. Oceanside Lavender. I personally would never repurchase it. Yeah, it's a no for me. It's a no. Caveats though. I mean, like, I'm not like a ride or die lavender kind of person. So you have to give me a good reason to want a lavender candle. And I do think Bath and Body Works actually does a lot of lavender candles very beautifully and very uniquely. I mean, there's a lot of real standout, like thinking outside the box lavender candles for them. They have many different lavender notes though that they cycle through, and some lean more aromatherapy, some lean more like candied. And then there's like everything in between. And my personal perfect Bath and Body Works lavender is the note that they use in lavender and vanilla and in pink lavender and espresso, lavender marshmallow. That particular lavender note for me is everything. It might be the note they use in Gwen's note too. I don't actually know if it's this. I don't think this is that lavender note. This is more of an aromatherapy lavender note. But like I said, it's blended so beautifully with the sandalwood, with the coconut, with the bergamot, with the aquatic. And so in that sense, the lavender isn't just all out there on its own, you know, main center stage light, you know. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's more of a lavender conceptual, and I just think it's so fantastic. I'm also a big fan of coconut and sandalwood, so that was probably another reason that I really, really loved this candle. So that's what I've got for you, Oceanside Lavender. I'll definitely link all the information down below, but I would say only like pretty strong lavender aromatherapy people should apply for this particular one. And man, I wish that it burned better. That's what I've got for you. Catch you guys in the next one.